Welcome back, I'm Tedward. Welcome to the all-new BMW M2 in Zandvoort Blue. It looks pretty darn cool. It's got a 6-speed manual transmission and a Topher inside. I'm hanging out here with my buddy in Michigan, so we're gonna go for a little drive in this thing and talk about what it's like to live with. I think we have a lot to say about that manual transmission, but real quick, it has an S58 power plant. It makes 453 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. The styling is a little controversial, and I'll admit it's growing on me, but there are angles that I just do not understand. I feel like I'm staring at it in the Lego movie. There's some big blocky things happening down here. It was bold of BMW to bring this out. I don't think it's as crazy as the XM, but it's definitely interesting to say that this is going to be sort of like the enthusiast sports car of the era. However, it's heavy. It's 3,800 pounds, which is why it's got these big bitey stoppers up front, and the front section tires are 275 millimeters. That used to be the rear section on an E39 M5. In the back, you've got a 285 trying to handle all of that torque. So not square, but not as staggered as you may think. So if you can get over the styling, if you hate it, or maybe it's your dream car, I feel like I've seen both sides of this argument. I don't know who to believe because I am still on the fence, but this is no longer a baby M car. The M2 is grown up. This is big. You put this next to an E92, it starts to look mighty large. I like that it has real door handles. Oh yes. Take note, everybody in the industry. Stop it with the electronic pop-out craziness. I don't like it. They're annoying. You always look like a jerk getting into them because half the time they don't pull out quick enough. This one is spec'd out to about $75,000. The baby M car, 75 G's. That is not baby M car pricing. Back in the day, the 1M, what was that, 54 grand? Yeah. I should have bought one of those because I could have made some money. Shoulda, coulda. What a mistake I made. But these have the carbon buckets, not the craziest carbon buckets. They're not the wild ones that you get in the CSL, but they are still pretty darn firm, and they have this, leg separator, which, my goodness, this is like the biggest mistake in the car industry right now, in my opinion. Oh my goodness, I hate it. But the seats are relatively comfortable, although this is somewhat firm. So don't feel like you're in Porsche land and you have to get the carbon buckets to look like a cool dude. You can get the comfy seats and they're going to be just fine. In the rear, there's like a little bit of space back here. You can do this. I wouldn't say you're going to want to be back here for like a super long trip, but would you look at that? It's kind of an armrest, but it's really a ski pass. This is like such a weird choice in my opinion, but yeah, it's not the worst. And you know what? I'm wearing shorts today. You guys can get over it. Red and blue, it's very M. They've gone away from just like slapping M badges everywhere, and they've just decided we're gonna make it part of the livery of anything and everything. So obviously you've got the M colors on the seat belts and on the steering wheel and on the shift boot and apparently on the seats and all these things. So, it makes you feel like you're in M town as they want you to be. Man, that is doing a lot of work. Oh, and would you look at that? Some climate control stuff back here. Nice to have air in the back. Something that we're not seeing in a lot of like more economy cars. For example, our Type Rs do not. The Type S, the Integra Type S. No rear HVAC. That's such a bummer, man. And it gets hot and gross, and sometimes you just want some air. It's not,
at least a vent.
Yeah, and it's really smoky here right now, so we're risking our lives just breathing outside. Okay, so you don't really care about all this because you've seen the car, and I've popped out my headset. There we go, binaural mess-ups. But let's go for a little drive and see what this is like, because a lot of people, a lot of reviewers, a lot of magazines, they're going to talk about its performance and all the things that it can do. However, Chris and I, we live with cars for, real life. We drive them on real roads. How is the suspension? How is the steering? And save the manuals, right, boys and girls? Well, should you? Is this the manual you wanted to save? Or are you going to be like the graduate and you're going to be riding on that bus wondering if you made the wrong decision? So, let's get it started. BMW switchgear, still confuses me. I know if I own this car, I would get used to having this button down here, but I swear I reach up here every single time. I always go for it, and it's just not intuitive for me to reach there. The cup holders, they work well for cans, and they've got these like nice, yeah, we're really giving you the in-depth consumer review. They've got these little guys that squeeze them. I had a large coffee in here, and it was a little tricky because of this, funky door, which it's funny, it's damped, but like, look at the wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. $75,000 wiggle. All right. S58, I like this engine. It sounds really good. I get a little confused with some of these buttons because this is your exhaust button, but it doesn't say exhaust on, exhaust off. It says M sound control off, M sound control on. And I'm like, are you controlling the sound? Is on quieter? Is off quieter? So I would love it if this just had a light the way this has the auto start stop light. I would love that on these. Porsche does that, makes it really easy. I don't think that's a huge cost adder, but hey, here we are. Let's go out for a little drive. The clutch is light, but it has like a little helper spring guide, which is not unusual. It's just that at the top of the clutch pedal, as you're releasing, I think it gets a little ambitious to get you off that pedal, and it makes it so it's a little tricky to drive smoothly. So if you're like a new manual driver, or you're not a smooth manual driver, not a critique, just an honest take, it might be a little confounding and annoying, especially if you're like exhausted. Like I'm in a good mood right now. I've slept well, I've eaten, I've had my coffee. I think I can drive this car reasonably smoothly. But if I hadn't, and I was coming back from the gym, just did leg day with these massive legs, yeah, of course, all 130 pounds of me, I think I would be a little clunky. All right, we'll go straight and right.
Let's go straight and right.
Okay, I'm gonna hit M1?
Yeah.
Great.
You can play around with it.
Sure. And we'll wait for all these deadly vehicles to go by.
And you're gonna take a left immediately on this turnaround.
Sure. There is a clutch delay valve. Oh, I love the brakes in this car. 275 section tire front gives you so much grip. It feels like it's really muscular and wide. So it has a clutch delay valve, so I'm kind of being aggressive to show you that even if I slam out of that clutch, it's not gonna shunt you. We'll go right up here. It's not gonna shunt you. It's gonna give you a reasonably smooth clutch release, which is good. It's gonna be better for your drive line because you don't wanna just be like destroying the splines of your axles. It's a tiny bit of rev hang. It's not unforgivable. It's fine. I think this car is great. The thing that drives me nuts about this car is that it doesn't seem to know its identity when it comes to like suspension and steering. Like, is it a luxury car? Because the steering feels like a luxury car. Let's hope he goes that way. But the suspension feels all sports car. So that's confounding to me because I don't want to have a Rolls-Royce Phantom with my tactility, but a rigid, hard race car on my butt. Like it's a strange thing, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time reconciling that. I went and got coffee in it this morning on like a typical Michigan road. I had my coffee here, and I had to drive so slow to not trash this thing. Taking this one. So Chris, what are you thinking about this? How you've had this for a few days now?
Yeah, I mean it drives like a little bit more of a torquey M4. I like this manual better than the M4 base manual, and we've driven on track, we've driven it a bunch on the street. It's kind of numb, kind of a dog to drive around town, but once you start pushing this car, it does get really good, and I think that's always a mark of a good M car. It's fast.
It's so fast.
I would be hard pressed to choose between this 8-speed auto, because the 8-speed auto is even faster.
It's great. It's funny because we drove this at the Mama Rally in Wisconsin at Road America, and it turned out on the autocross course, this was the manual was the faster car because it was a longer second gear, so you weren't having to go for that third gear like you were in the automatic. Oh my goodness, I love Michigan. You never know what you're gonna see. We'll go around. Do a lap. Which one are we gonna spit ourselves out on?
We'll see.
Oh boy, Nissan Rogue. Chasing it down. Yeah, I don't feel anything through this steering wheel. Like, let's just do it again. It's like, it's kind of alarming. Like, I know I'm turning because I'm going that way, but like, I don't really feel much in the way of feedback. That's a frustrating thing in a car that's supposed to be like the tactile M car. And I mean, look, we've been going this direction with BMW, and I feel like because of some of the faults they've made in the past, it makes them look better later. Like, I really am not a big fan of the engine tuning on an F80 M3. Those really bothered me. They were really spiky. They were dangerous. The rear end felt like it was on, lunch trays. But the front end of this car, and even though I can't feel anything through the steering wheel, I do have a lot of control of the direction of the car on throttle.
This is an easy car to drive. Easier.
It's an easy car to drive fast. I'm always surprised. I don't know this road very well. I'm always surprised at how fast I'm going when I look down. I'm like, geez, this thing really rips. But then again, you're talking like probably a lot of consumables. If you were like to use this as your daily driver / track toy, I experienced that in my E92. It's reasonable. It's okay. But like, you're going to go through some tires. This is 3,800 pounds. So while it does a great job in masking its weight, oh my goodness, feel that suspension. It's going to remind you of its weight when you're buying tires, because there's no way these front tires are surviving like a whole bunch of track days.
275s. It was a champ on the track yesterday, though. Stayed cool the whole time. Brakes held up beautifully. I think you're just going to be going through a ton of consumables.
Yeah.
3,800 pounds.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, my M5 is 4,000 pounds.
Yep.
It doesn't handle anywhere near as good as this car. Like, all right, the thing is, I feel like I have to hold BMW to such high standards because I loved BMW. I still love BMW. But what I want from them is something that's like really cohesive. I want them to commit to, I am a sports car. I'm not a sports car and a luxury car. Make the 7 Series the 7 Series. Make this a successor to the E30 or the E36, really. Like, take the formula of E36. Sure, you give it some leather, you make it nice inside, a nice sunroof, and power stuff, and Apple CarPlay, and all this good stuff. But like, give me the steering rack. Give me the feel of a driver's car.
Wait, sorry.
That's all right. We can correct. Yeah. Now, we do have some ground clearance, but I don't really want to go into that. We'll find a little spot to turn around. There's a safe place. That's the stuff. These 285s, they pick up like every stone in the back. Looking good. I love the character of the S58. I think it does a great job of masking turbo lag. You keep it spools up nice and low. It's a really progressive kind of release.
Sport Plus.
Sure.
Take a left here.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what this guy's up to. Should have gone for third, but now I'm having a good time. We're gonna just max it out. You hear that over the bumps. I mean, that is alarming. And on like a Michigan road, it's a concrete. It's a it's a real thwap. Like, I do genuinely enjoy driving this car. I think it would be a good daily driver. It's just that you might get really frustrated with some of the crashy nature of the suspension. Like, the steering to me is like ultra stable on the highway. This is what you want on like your grand touring highway car. But the suspension is completely the opposite. And even though you can put it into like comfort or sport mode is still pretty stiff.
Yeah, there's definitely some typical M car harshness here.
Yeah. But that's their brand. I get it. Like, I get that they've kind of built a brand around that style. So I'm just giving you my opinion on it. It might be exactly what you're looking for, and I wouldn't judge you for it. I just feel like if you were somebody who maybe like walked away from the brand for a while, like you left BMW from the days of the E92, and then you came back to it thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna splurge, I'm gonna get myself a $75,000 M2. You might be a little surprised on the character of the car, and you might be a little surprised at the nature of the tactility. It's some nice roads.
Yeah, we got some decent little
That's the
too.
job.
Yeah. Did you spend much time in the previous M2 comp?
Not really.
This is a little bit larger, heavier, longer wheelbase, and you feel it. It's more kind of a buttoned-down experience. It's less twitchy, less playful, a little bit easier to drive. Maybe not as engaging and exciting. Steering's definitely not as good.
No.
But the power and the torque makes up for any like deficiencies for sure.
Yeah.
But
The real star of the show here to me, the chassis is incredible, and the engine is outrageously good. I think I just get, where do we go to get back to the shop? Take a left, okay. I just get a little frustrated with this. I mean, it's really, honestly, I could forgive pretty much everything if the steering was really, really good. Like, if this had a lot of feedback, there would be no hesitation in recommending this car. Even this manual is pretty good. I've been down on BMW manuals for a little while because I just didn't feel like they made much sense in some of the recent cars. They felt awkward. Like an F80 M3, I just think doesn't belong with a manual transmission. It didn't fit. This actually fits, and it's still that classic BMW nature. It feels a little rubbery. That's not an insult. It's just the style. That is how a BMW manual transmission feels, and this still retains all of that. So that would be very familiar for people who are, BMW enthusiasts. But it just, they're trying to walk a line of luxury with this thing that I don't think it needs to. I think they could commit just a little bit harder. But then again, it leaves room open for a competition, a CS or a CSL. And boy, oh boy, do we always love another variant, because basically BMW already knows every single detail I'm complaining about right now. They are not surprised if they're watching this. Every engineer is like, yeah, we know. And they're going to be like, we're already working on the CS or the CSL that's going to fix all the things that you're whining about. And then I'll drive that and I'll say, wow, this is the car. And it's just, this is the nature of the car industry.
that's the way it is.
Where we're at.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a quick drive. Thought I'd show it off and see, what it's like to live with. I know I probably was maybe more negative than I needed to be in my tone, but I do really like this car. You just got to make a decision. Is this where you want your $75,000 to go with these types of options, or as low as $63,000? Is that where it's at?
Yeah, you can start at 63 on this if you don't option anything. But
that would be interesting. I'd like to see a stripper model, but it has some dash rattles and some little things like that. But again, if anything, that's heritage, right?
That's right.
My E92 is
tradition.
very rattly,
Yeah.
so that's all right. But hey, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Thank you to the Topher for just like putting me up for a day at the house.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out. So
Good times.
I hope this was chill. I hope you were just like, hey, going for a ride with your buddies. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.